Alright, I've got the shoulder plates in around that sub-assembly. Basically they just snapped onto the edges of that, didn't have any fit problems. And another bit of good news, another empty sprue, so there's more progress. And for this, finishing this one off, all we have to do is put these little plugs on here, on his little shoulder pieces here. See if we can cover up as much as we can, because there's not really a direction on these ones. So we'll make a little scribe lines go this way, so it looks like a little more action shot. Of course, we can always move those if we wanted to later. Okay, touch those up with a little bit of metal paint, and we'll be good to go to the next step. Okay, working on step 19, making 4 of these joints, and we use this little tiny plastic polycap, and you do have to make sure you get it correct. They show in the instructions that the ball opening goes up. Since this is round, it can go any which way, so we want to put it in so the hole is facing up and position it how it's supposed to be, and on go the opposite sides. Crunch, crunch. Now we got 4 of those little guys. So now we're ready to put on the legs. Let's see, or the toes, I should say. Okay. D6. And I try to cut, if the part is at an angle, I try to cut the sprue at an angle, that way I don't make a gouge in it. And 7. So if you can see, there's an angle there, so I try to match the cutters up with it. These cutters are very nice for this type of a kit. Okay. Clean up. They cut so smooth, sometimes it's hard to find the remnants of where I cut it from. Sometimes I have to look at the sprue itself to see where I'd cut it. Okay, so this is going to be the one side. There's actually two of one side and 2 of the other. So we got to make sure we keep these separate. Okay. Again, another moving part. So we just got to make sure. Well, these are got to be his front paws or something like that. Okay. And a moving part. Okay. And what I'll do is I will put these either in a baggie if I have to stop, or I'll put them on my paper towel here, and I'll actually mark which one it is. So these are number 20. So I'll say like 20, and I'll put them on this side, and then I'll say 19, and I'll put them over on this side. I could mark them on there if I wanted to, but I would have to overpaint it eventually. So I'll make a few more. Okay, I'm getting the last of the hydraulic pieces here to his legs, and just a couple things. The seams that are on this little hose kind of would catch the washes, so what I did was I just scraped it with my knife, just real easy. get that seam off, and then might have to repaint it, but actually doesn't look too bad scraping it off and having the original plastic underneath. So, and then some of these little guys here, like this piece, fits very, very loose, so I definitely want to glue that. So I'm just using some extra thin cement, letting it wick itself in. Give it just a little bit of a squeeze. Put on our little gold doodad, whatever that is. Pressure fitting, I guess you could call it. Glued that a little bit again because it was a little bit loose, and I know it would just fall off just in handling. Especially if I change the position of the little guy, he's gonna be under a lot of stress moving stuff around. Okay, and then the hose, again, just a little bit tacked here and there. Okay, so now I've got the 4 hydraulics, and we'll put some more parts on his feet together. Okay, I'm finishing up his front paws here. One of the things I did want to mention is these chrome parts do get nicks in them since they're plated when I cut the sprue nib off. And there is a product out there which I need to pick up now that I see these, called it's a chrome pen, and basically it looks like real chrome, and Molotow I think is the company who makes it, but kind of made for Gundam people and car people, and it actually looks like real chrome. They're very neat, so I'll have to pick up one of those if I continue to do stuff like this. Otherwise I can usually get rid of that in weathering, or just hit a little bit of silver on it. Doesn't look too bad. So, and then this collar here fits again a little loose, so we'll just hit a little glue in there so everything stays where it's supposed to. And the neat thing about these, and I'm not sure if the engineers planned this or not, but the little sprue nibs that are on here are actually covered up by that recess, so you don't even have to worry about repainting those. Just snap those on, and they're, like I said, they're underneath that little collar there. So now we got some feet. So now time to work on the legs. Okay, working on the legs, and a couple of things. When I put these two halves together, there's a little rubber poly cap in there. One goes actually in the piece that's in here, and one goes here. When I snapped it together, it wasn't closing evenly. This side closed sooner than this side, and the result was it started to crush the poly cap crooked, and it wasn't closing. So I had to pop it open, and to do that I used this little thing right here, which I got from Squadron Shops. It's actually a dental tool, but it's works real good as a spatula and things like that, stainless steel, all that good stuff. But it's nice for getting under there and popping it real evenly without making any mars on the plastic. And so that's what I did to pop that open, and glued these pieces here because they were a little bit loose. I sanded here, so I'll have to repaint that because I'm sure that's going to be out in the open. This little piece here, which is kind of neat, which is for this specific version, looks real nice, and again it's recessed, so it covers up the little sprue nib marks, which is good, but I cover up all this detail when I put it on, which is unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. So we do a couple of those and get those ready. Gotta always keep that glue covered. Okay, so we're going to assemble this guy. Looks like it goes like that. This will actually go through here. Orientation is everything on this. Make sure everything is the right direction. Now this whole beastie goes together. Multiple snaps, which is nice because this thing is going to be movable. It's going to be a large joint, so the more snaps the better. That way it won't come apart. Look at that. Now that's a feat of engineering. That is very cool. So we will work on the other leg.